Hello, everybody. Welcome to the HireMyVA Team and Business Building podcast brought to you by ugozi.com. And in this podcast and at HireMyVA, we help you to reclaim your freedom through hiring and thriving with virtual assistants without breaking the bank, without breaking your bank, which is the most important bank. And I'm Dave Braun. And again, as I've been here with all these episodes, I'm here with Larry Broughton, my fantastic friend and mentor and buddy traveling with me through life like crazy. Larry, tell me what's going on.
Dave. Same old stuff, different day.
Well, and that can be good, and that can be bad.
Well, I'll say this, dude. It's almost 2 weeks since we've been together. Do you know that? Since we've seen each other in person. I think that might be the first time in a year. So I'm looking forward to getting together tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast.
You and our buddies, and it'll be good to.
And I got a special dinner planned. I don't know if you guys have had this before. My famous chicken pot pie. Did I serve that to you guys before?
I don't know. I know that I've had it at your house before.
Okay, probably did that a long time ago.
Yeah.
One of those comfort food things. Anyway.
Absolutely. Well, it's winter here when we're recording this.
Yeah.
It's winter in Orange County, as wintry as that gets. It's going to be a frigid 72 degrees tomorrow.
Oh, I know. I'm chilled to the bone. I got to get my parking gloves out.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah, if you're
in your winter wonderland.
Yeah, if you're in Minneapolis right now, you're probably saying, "Well, at least we don't have fires."
Yeah, right. Earthquakes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
Well, I tell you, I'm thankful that I live here where the weather is nice. Speaking of which, that is related to our question.
Oh, it is. What's our question?
So the question is, how do I become more thankful? How do I become more grateful? And
that's actually a good one, because we talk about this all the time, right? Like, you got to be grateful, but what do you actually do to get out of it? It's interesting because a lot of folks. This might actually be a really good topic, Dave.
Yeah.
You and I have had conversations about anxiety and depression lately, because there are people in both of our lives who struggle with that, and it's hard when you're in those moments to actually be grateful, right? So when you say, what are you grateful for? It's like, how do I even become grateful when I feel like the world is crashing in around me, right? You shared with me a couple of weeks ago a video, or you told me about. I think you told our buddies about this too. A pastor at Mariners, I think, did a series on this, and maybe there's a way. I know that you watched the whole series. I only saw the first one. Maybe there's a way to weave that in.
Yeah, we'll definitely weave that in for sure.
Good. Yeah, good. This will be a good one. How do you become grateful or thankful? Good one. All right, I've got some ideas cooking. All right, let's talk.
So we talked about in 107 the importance of being grateful, what it does for us. It helps us be more positive, energy, attracts people to us, all that kind of stuff, right? So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that before you come here to this one, which should be 109. So this is really important, is how, like, what are some steps? What are some methods, easy things that you can do to do that? And, Larry, me, I like to put together some type of a system for myself, because I'll tell you, if I don't, I'll forget.
If this is the first time you've ever listened to one of these podcasts, Dave's background is as an engineer. He plots things out. He's got whiteboards. He's got wire screens, or whatever you call the damn things, for everything in life. And it's good. It works for him. He's one of the most disciplined guys that I know. So it's great.
Let me give you guys a random tip. Can I do that? Just a random tip.
Yeah.
I learned from my financial advisor of all kinds of, it's strange. So what I'm doing now, because I have a whiteboard, if you can't see this right here.
Wait. You have a whiteboard, Dave? I see two whiteboards.
Yeah, I have multiple whiteboards. Okay. Use them all the time. Yeah. But how do you keep the pins from drying out? Well, one of the things you can do is store them upside down. If you can't see right now, if you're just listening, I have a coffee cup, and I have the dry erase markers upside down, so that the ink always is ready at the tip.
Because a lot of times people lay those flat.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've gone away from that. So it's like a little system. I've got my cup of markers.
Thank you, David, for that tidbit of information.
And Larry, I'm grateful for that tip. And I'm grateful now that my markers are They're nice and strong and not
Well, how many
faded
times
and
have we been in your
last.
house trying to go use that whiteboard? Nothing, we can't find one that works. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
All right.
All right. Well, we're kind of going on a tangent here, but hey, it's our podcast. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about how some methods,
Okay.
right? You were
All right.
talking about something that we'll share in a little bit later, but
Yeah.
let's talk about maybe the first step. All right, overall, the first step to do this.
Well, whose step is this? This is your step that you come up with. This is your system. You're saying.
Yeah, I think so. And this is what I've done that helps me, and what I've seen has helped other people as well.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's hear it.
So like really the first step is you got to have somebody in your life that you can share things that you're grateful with. I mean, like an not really an accountability partner, but somebody at least to listen, or, you can text them or something, because you've got to be able to, it's one thing to say it in your mind, but you got to be able to release that gratitude that you've got into the world by getting it out of you. Otherwise it's, you're going to be left to your own devices. You'll have you'll do it for a day or two, and then all of a sudden you will stop doing it.
You know what? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say is one of the things that helps us keep on track. We were just referring to it is our Wednesday meetings amongst the four of us guys, right?
Yeah. Right.
We're constantly expressing gratitude to each other during those meetings.
Well, it's not just a nice thing to do. I mean, research has definitely found that expressing gratitude strengthens relationships.
Yeah.
So whether it's your romantic partner or a friend or a team member, actually telling them specifically what you're thankful for builds bonds. So that's a really important thing. I'm glad you said that, Dave. So share your gratitudes with people.
Yeah, you got to have somebody who's willing to listen, or that's part of your relationship.
Yep.
And maybe if you guys have accountability partners that you use for achieving your goals or something like that, maybe what you could do is just say at the very beginning of that of your meeting with them, you just say, here's 3 things I'm grateful for.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's another quick, easy step. And I've got that down as say thank you everywhere you go.
So good.
Okay? So thank you for anything. It's like, thank you for, being a great neighbor. Thank you for, giving me that great hot cup of coffee. I really, really appreciate it. So it's even saying thank you. When I say thank you for that hot cup of coffee, it's even saying thank you to your vendors. People, even if you pay people to do things for you, it still goes a long way to helping you be a more grateful person by continuing to thank them.
Yeah, I think this is particularly important in the retail sector. So many people treat retail workers as our slaves.
Yeah.
And that turns my stomach when I see that happen. I happen to have been out on Thanksgiving Day, went to a grocery store and had a meal out as well. And I made a specific point to thank them that day. Say, hey, you're away from your family today, and there's one woman actually got teary. She said, nobody's thanked me for that today. It's like, that's sad.
Yeah.
Of all days, you got to be thanking people on Thanksgiving. But you're right. I think making this a habit where you do it all the time, and I'll talk about that when it gets my turn, I guess, but creating the habit of recognizing moments of to thank people. I know my son picks up on it. He used to comment on all the time, because I would go out of my way to make sure and thank people that were retail workers, just to try to make them smile if they're having a bad day. So 'cause you have no idea what struggles they're fighting at the moment.
Yeah, and saying thank you to your clients too, just for being helping you out. I mean, that's great too.
Yeah.
So you talked about Thanksgiving Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Cheryl's side of the family over. It was almost 20 of us approximately, and so her niece that came over, she ended up at the end of the day giving my wife a thank you note for doing all the cooking and all that stuff, and a gift card to a restaurant.
That's nice.
And she didn't have to do that at all. We weren't expecting it. We were almost like, no, we do this for family, but it was really nice for her to say thank you. And it made us feel really good. And I'm sure it made her feel great just giving it to us.
Right. That's really good. I like that one. Okay.
Okay. Maybe the next step would be is just like about, we're talking about habits here, right? So you got to create some kind of a ritual, and the best way to do this is on a daily basis. And if you're going to create a new habit, you want to anchor it to something that you're already doing. So maybe you do it right before you brush your teeth in the morning, at night. That's a great time to do it. Or at least do it once a day before you take a shower, assuming you take a shower or a bath every day.
Yeah.
If you don't, well, then you got to anchor it to something else.
Bedtime, waking up. Yes. Anchor to those. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so now I want to talk about, the person that you had mentioned at our church, where I heard about this method, and it's really working for me right now. So, Kenton Beshore, he's the former head lead pastor at Mariners Church where I go. He's now the pastor emeritus. So he comes in, he talks every now and then and speaks. He's great, but he says studies show you're supposed to do the following 2 times per day. Okay, the following 2 times per day.
What's that?
You want to list 3 things you're grateful for, and then tell someone about it, right? So that goes back to our first step, is having somebody to tell it to, right? Yep. So you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to come up with 3 things that you're grateful for, do it twice a day, and tell one person about it each time.
That's so good. And those things that you're grateful for could be anything: nature, people, community, shelter, health, right? The ability to feel warmth. Many folks, if you know me, I've spent a lot of time in the veteran community. I've got friends, loved ones who are, don't have feelings in part of their bodies anymore. That you're able to do that is a good thing. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens when you start noticing these things and you feel grateful for them. So you can find 3 things that you're grateful for sure.
Yeah. And I think sometimes though, we will be like, oh, I said this yesterday, or, okay, I'm grateful for my family. So one of the things that we try to do at Thanksgiving dinners is we go around the dinner and ask people to say one thing that they're grateful for. And of course, everybody says, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for this. And it gets hard for people to really think about it. So in 107, I think you talked a little bit about a way to come up with more things that you might be grateful for. You want to share that?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what I said in 107, but I can talk to you just generally what I do in life.
Yeah.
I try to incorporate this feeling of gratitude recognition in both my personal and professional life. So in the professional life, each morning we have a morning stand up. It's just a very brief call. When we do them via Zoom right now, because people are spread out all over the place. And before we talked, each leader in the organization said, hey, here's what I'm working on today, and here's what my victories were yesterday, we talk about what we're grateful for. You're right, family, friends, pets, health come up oftentimes. Being part of the organization oftentimes comes up. So there's that. But on the personal side, I try to do my gratitude journaling at night, because studies have shown that we tend to focus on in our sleep what we're focusing on while we are awake, and we tend to wake up the way we go to sleep. Yeah. So my feeling is that if I'm focusing on gratitude as I drift off to sleep, because I don't actually I don't often write my gratitude journal anymore. I have it in my head. Some days I do, maybe once a month I actually write them down nowadays. But when I was trying to get healthy 10 years ago, I literally wrote them down every single day. And so, and those are things like we talked about, family and friends and those kind of things. And on those really bad days, Dave, when I couldn't even do that, like she pissed me off today and he's, a jerk, and I'm not very thankful for them today. As I was laying in bed, I would think, start at the top of my head. Okay, I still have a few hairs on my head. My eyes still see. I can still breathe through my nose, because I have friends who don't have noses anymore. Or I can still formulate words with my mouth, because, I had that tumor scare where they thought they were going to remove part of my mouth. Do you remember that?
That's
I
right.
can still breathe through my mouth, right? I've got fingers that work. My elbows bend, and I would start to top my body and just go all the way through. And I could just feel my body sinking down in the mattress as I was doing that, right? So that's kind of just one technique that I would use or do use virtually every day.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect. Thinking about your senses, right, in your body, in
Mhm.
every little aspect of your body. Like, as you were talking, I was thinking, my throat. I was thinking, I'm grateful for, being able to swallow, right,
Yeah.
and my taste buds to being able to enjoy, food, and I mean, there's
Your
other ways
brain can
too.
process things,
Yeah, and
because a lot of people who've got traumatic brain injuries who can, or they're so wrapped up in mental health that they can't think clearly,
yeah.
right?
Another thing you can do is just take a walk and just start thinking of everything that's out there. Like, I don't even have to take a walk. I'm looking outside my window and I see a fence, right? That we put up with our neighbors. Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for that decision that we made, to put up the vinyl fence so it's not breaking down. It was a great money
Zombies don't come
decision.
in.
All of that stuff. Yeah. And it keeps, certain things out. No, I'm grateful for my neighbor who was so nice and we split the cost and it worked out so great. I mean, you can just go on and on. If you look, just start looking around you, take a walk, observe the trees,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, there's just so much, and the
Yeah.
beauty that's out there. Even our eyes being able to discern color,
That's
right?
right.
There's no reason why we have to have that. In fact,
And there are
there's a lot
people
of
who
people that are
don't.
colorblind.
That's right. Yeah. And we know that with the increase in drug addiction and mental health problems right now, we've got a growing, um, I'm not going to use the word homeless, but there are people, it's a politically charged thing. But there are people who, are sleeping on the streets right now,
Yeah.
right? So if you're laying in a bed and you're doing this, you're laying in a bed doing it. Let's be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of my process that I go through. I incorporate into my business by doing a morning stand-up call and out loud saying what I'm grateful for to other
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
Um, and I can tell you, it feels really awkward when you first start doing this, but we've been doing this for a long time in my organization. And it's funny how over time people get much more tender
Mhm.
when they talk about this stuff now, right?
Yeah.
And much more open and vulnerable about it. And so that's how I incorporate professionally and personally. That's what I do personally.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing that I would want to talk about is, and I remember, listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, and he talked about a little bit of this, but like I have my little grandson Logan, who's getting close to a month and a half old already, man.
Hello.
Freaking believable.
I know.
But just starting to think about the odds in his life of being where he is, and it is very similar for all of us, all of you folks listening to this or watching this,
Yeah.
right? Just being born, right? What are the odds against being born with all the different eggs and sperm cells and all that stuff, as well as so many couples struggling with fertility, right? What are your odds of actually being born, right?
Yeah.
Being born in the United States, and being born like you talked about with your fingers and having all
Yeah.
your toes, your organs. Some people aren't, right?
Yeah.
And for my grandson being born to parents that love him like crazy, and having both sets of grandparents that love him,
Oh yeah.
plus he's got plenty to eat. And then compared to when we had our kids, all the different cool things to keep babies safe and keep them happy and healthier. I mean, there's more things now. It's a great time that we live in for so many things. How many times have we thought about being grateful for the fact that, wow, I live in, 2020, almost 2022 versus, 1910.
Listen, there are so many things to be grateful for. I mean, we could spend 5 hours just going
Yeah.
through that kind of stuff, but clearly, we are living in the safest, from a health perspective, from a violence perspective, from a war perspective, best time ever in human
Yeah.
human
Most
history.
prosperous. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So much to be, you're right. So much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
So I think we're grateful for people listening to us.
Yeah, well,
I'm
let me
grateful.
kind
Yeah.
of so let me rip on a couple of things, in
Yeah.
addition to the kind of the keeping the gratitude journal that we talked about. I think that's really important, but I don't want to get wrapped too much around on the axle on this. But I do think that let's be realistic. Dave, you know me, I'm a follower of the Stoics. I think we have to face reality. Reality is our friend. And you know what? Life is going to beat you up sometimes.
Yeah.
That's just
There's
the truth of it.
problems.
And how we battle those problems is where we find meaning. Okay. And so the truth is you're going to have bad times. One way to feel grateful is to remember the bad times. And I don't mean revel in them, in those bad times, and really replay them in your mind, but remind yourself that, hey, there's been some bad times in my life. And here's what they are. And I'm not there right now. So that's something to consider. If you've been part of any kind of recovery program, you know that there's some folks talk about, ask yourself three questions when it comes around this topic. What have I received from this person or this situation, right? What am I thankful for there? What have I given to this organization? What have I given to the community? What have I given to my family, right? And here's the thing that gets a lot of people stuck when they're in this recovery thing is, what troubles or difficulty have I caused today?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We have to face that stuff, Dave. We can't just push it off and live and pretend it's going to be sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows every day. If we're not recognizing those things, it's hard to recognize the good things.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So there's got to be a little bit of discernment in there as well. We talked about the senses, but I do think also sometimes you need visual reminders in your life. Some people have got signs around their homes, or they've got images that remind them of things that they're grateful for. Whether it's pictures of your family members, for instance. We need visual clues of that to remind yourself of how many great things you've got in your life.
Right.
I think that also, Dave, we need to make a commitment, almost like a vow, like a pact with yourself that you're going to practice gratitude. You kind of talked about this earlier. I just want to put an exclamation point on it when you talked about, hey, go out and look for the good things in life, but you got to commit to it. Like, I vow that I'm going to count my blessings every day, and then I'm going to post it. Something happens when you make a commitment to yourself. That things actually start to come to fruition. But we also have to watch the way, how do we talk to ourselves? How do we talk to each other? Languaging, I say this all the time, words have meaning.
They do.
Right? And so instead of saying, hey, this is happening to me, or I caused this to happen, I think we ought to be counting our blessings. Hey, I'm grateful for the gifts. I'm grateful for the givers. Like, go through and count those things. I feel fortunate, I'm recognizing the abundance that comes to my life. I think you need to do that. And I guess maybe the last thing that's coming to my mind is, I used to say, fake it till you make it. And I know that's not really a great thing to do now in my life, but I do believe that, and studies have shown this, just by the act of smiling and saying thank you gets you closer to those feelings. The brain doesn't differentiate between a fake smile and a real smile, in the beginning. And do you ever walk down the street and smile at somebody? Didn't we talk about this on a recent podcast?
We did.
If you walk down the street and you smile at someone, they're going to smile back. There's only two reasons why they're not going to smile back. One is they are intentionally fighting it. And the other thing is they're psychotic or something.
Yeah.
Right. When you smile at someone, reflexively, you smile, that someone's going to smile back at you. And if you smile at someone and they don't, then you just got to send them a blessing. They may be fearful, like, right. Maybe they're fearful, like, you're creepy. Why are you smiling at me? But just, pray for them or send them a blessing, like, open up their heart, that they can accept a smile. And to start seeing what happens. I encourage folks to commit to this for 30 days and see what happens. And boy, we have dumped a lot on folks on this. And maybe we should have done a preamble to this podcast, Dave, to get a pen and paper ready, because there's going to be a lot coming your way. But I had no idea what we're going to be, that there's going to be this many value bombs or ideas on here. But if you're one of those people who are really committed to this, and maybe you're struggling with gratitude or anxiety or depression, maybe go back and listen to this and just get out a piece of paper or take notes on your phone and just try a couple of things. If you pick three things and commit to those, and commit to it for 30 days, I'll bet you will see, big improvement. And the 3 things I would say, Dave, that they ought to be doing is identify every single day 3 things that they're grateful for.
Yep.
Community, shelter, nature, whatever it is. Start your gratitude journal. I'd say that's number 2. And do these, practice some kind of gratitude rituals,
Right.
whether
Tell
it's
somebody.
Yeah, tell us. Well, that's part of the rituals, I think.
Yeah.
I would throw in there. Maybe
Yeah.
it's saying grace before a meal. Pausing for gratitude before your meal doesn't have to be a religious thing. Are you grateful that you got food in front of you?
Mhm.
I think if you do all the things that we talked about, if you do those 3 things, you're going to see a dramatic shift in 30 days. So that's what I would say.
Awesome.
That's
Well,
all I
Tim,
got to say about that.
I think that's a great way to wrap up. Well, I'm sure, folks, if you're listening to us still, probably grateful that we're done.
They're rolling their eyes. Really? Okay.
So we are grateful for you to listen, and we'd be
Yeah.
even more grateful if you could do one of these 3 things, or if not one, just all of them, 2 of them, preferably all of them. But subscribe to the podcast for sure.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already done so, do it on your iPhone, your Android phone. Do it on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button and click on the little bell next to it to get reminders. The second thing would be, if you're grateful for us providing this information, give us a rating, preferably 5 stars. Leave a comment below this video, any comment, because it will help us get the word out. And then the third thing is, go to HireMyVA.com if you want to get some more information on our course and community. And of course, our white glove service, where we find a rock star VA for you. We have a client right now that's doing some final interviews with 4 people, and we're excited about how we're going to be able to help her. So remember, though, even without experience, you'll learn how to prepare for hire and thrive with virtual assistants using the Hire My VA course and community. Larry, we're, like I mentioned about this one person, we're helping people through this right now. We want to help you too. So go to HireMyVA.com for more information on all of that.
Hey, there's so much wrapped up in this podcast, Dave. I'm glad that we talked about it. I kind of wish we would have done this and dropped this, on Thanksgiving or something like that. But there's never a wrong time to find gratitude.
No, in fact, we should probably redo one of these at 6 months, from Thanksgiving, whenever that is. It's November, December, January, February, March, like April, right?
Yeah.
We need those reminders throughout the year.
I think you're right. Yeah. So do yourself a favor, my friends. Do the world a favor. Go do something significant today. God bless you. God keep you. God hold you. All right, my friends, go get them. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.